The deadliest forces on Earth are not always visible until it's too late. Right now, millions of people are living in the shadow of death. At any moment, without warning, walls of water taller than skyscrapers could erase entire cities from existence. This isn't science fiction. This is the terrifying reality of tsunamis, nature's most perfect killing machine. In 2004, over 227,000 lives were extinguished in a single day when the Indian Ocean unleashed hell upon Earth. Lives gone in minutes. Despite this devastating toll, our early warning systems remain fatally flawed. Coastal development continues unabated in tsunami danger zones, and the deadliest tsunami in human history may be yet to come. The question isn't if, but when. Welcome to the Forgotten Apocalypse, Earth's deadliest tsunamis. To understand the sheer destructive power of tsunamis, we must first understand what creates them. Unlike normal ocean waves, which are formed by wind, tsunamis are born from catastrophic geological events. Tsunamis are typically triggered by underwater earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or submarine landslides. What makes them particularly dangerous is their wavelength. While normal waves might travel a few meters between crests, tsunami waves can span hundreds of kilometers. In deep ocean, these waves can travel as fast as 800 kilometers per hour, the speed of a commercial jet. Yet remarkably, they might pass beneath ships unnoticed, rising just a meter or less above normal sea level. It's only when they approach shallow coastal waters that their true horror is revealed. As the wave enters shallow water, it slows down dramatically, causing its energy to compress. The water has nowhere to go but up, creating walls of water that can reach staggering heights. The raw power is almost beyond comprehension. A single cubic meter of water weighs 1 metric ton. Now imagine billions of tons of water moving at highway speeds, carrying debris, vehicles, and entire buildings in its furious path. There is no force on Earth capable of stopping it once it begins. Throughout human history, tsunamis have repeatedly demonstrated their capacity for mass destruction. Research has identified the 5 deadliest tsunami events ever recorded, each with a devastating human toll. December 26, 2004. A submarine earthquake with a magnitude of 9.1 to 9. 3 strikes off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia. Within hours, tsunami waves reaching heights of 100 feet would slam into coastlines across the Indian Ocean, from Indonesia to Thailand, Sri Lanka, and even the eastern coast of Africa. The final death toll would reach a staggering 227,899 people, the deadliest tsunami in recorded history. Entire coastal communities were simply erased from existence. What made the 2004 tsunami particularly catastrophic was the complete lack of warning. The Indian Ocean had no tsunami early warning system at that time. Many victims had no idea what the receding waterline meant. Some even ventured out to collect stranded fish, walking directly into the path of death. November 1st, 1755. All Saints' Day. The devout citizens of Lisbon, Portugal, one of Europe's wealthiest cities, are attending Mass when the earth begins to shake violently. The Lisbon earthquake was one of the deadliest seismic events in history. But what many don't realize is that much of the devastation came not from the shaking ground, but from the tsunami that followed. Witnesses described 3 massive waves up to 10 meters high, surging up the Tagus River and crashing into the already damaged city. Approximately 50,000 lives were lost, though some sources suggest the death toll may have been as high as 60,000. But what's rarely discussed is the controversial evidence suggesting this tsunami traveled across the Atlantic Ocean, reaching as far as the northern Brazilian coast, a stark reminder that tsunami impacts can span entire oceans. August 27, 1883, the volcanic island of Krakatoa in Indonesia explodes with the force of 200 megatons of TNT, roughly 13,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Krakatoa was one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in recorded history. The sound of the explosion was heard nearly 3,000 miles away in Australia and the Indian Ocean island of Rodriguez. The collapse of the volcano triggered multiple tsunami waves, some reaching heights of 37 meters, taller than a 10-story building. The devastating waves destroyed 165 coastal villages and towns, killing an estimated 34,417 people. What makes volcanic tsunamis particularly dangerous is that they can be triggered by multiple mechanisms, not just the earthquake, but pyroclastic flows entering the water, submarine landslides, or even the collapse of the volcano itself. September 20th, 1498. A massive earthquake strikes the Ensenada Sea region of Japan, generating a tsunami that would claim approximately 31,000 lives. This tsunami was one of Japan's earliest well-documented tsunami disasters. Historical records describe giant waves swallowing villages whole, and water reaching the tops of tall trees. Japan's long history of tsunami disasters has led to the development of numerous mitigation strategies, from ancient stone markers warning people not to build below certain elevations to modern engineering solutions. June 15th, 1896. A magnitude 7.2 earthquake strikes off the coast of Sanriku, Japan. What made this event particularly deadly was that the earthquake itself was barely felt on land, giving no warning of the catastrophe to come. The Sanriku tsunami is what we now classify as a tsunami earthquake, an earthquake that generates a tsunami much larger than what would be expected based on its magnitude. These are among the most dangerous types of tsunamis because they offer little to no natural warning. Waves reaching heights of 38 meters crashed into the Sanriku coast, destroying thousands of homes and claiming 27,122 lives. The study of historical tsunamis is fraught with controversy and uncertainty, particularly when examining events from the distant past. One of the key challenges is the inconsistency of historical records. For example, the Minoan tsunami, which some sources claim killed between 30,000 to 100,000 people around 1600 BCE, isn't included in many official records due to the uncertain nature of the evidence. Even for more recent events, death toll figures can vary dramatically between sources. The 1908 Messina tsunami in Italy is reported by some sources to have killed 80,000 people, but deeper analysis reveals that most of these deaths were likely caused by the earthquake itself, with only about 2,000 directly attributable to the tsunami. These discrepancies highlight the need for rigorous methodologies when studying historical disasters. We must be careful not to sensationalize or misattribute causes of death, while also ensuring we don't underestimate the true impact of these events. When we think of tsunami danger zones, certain regions immediately come to mind. Japan, Indonesia, Chile, all located along the seismically active Ring of Fire. But evidence exists of tsunami impacts in regions typically considered safe. Brazil is not typically associated with tsunami risk, but recent research published in Science Direct suggests that the 1755 Lisbon tsunami left traces along the Brazilian coastline, particularly in the north and northeast regions. While the impact was significantly less severe than in Europe, this finding challenges our understanding of tsunami reach and raises uncomfortable questions about other regions previously thought to be safe. Risk assessment agencies now classify Brazil's tsunami risk as medium, especially with considerations of climate change and rising sea levels. This classification is controversial, with some experts arguing it should be higher and others claiming it's exaggerated. Following the 2004 Indian Ocean disaster, Significant investments were made in tsunami early warning systems worldwide. But how effective are these systems really? The reality is that our current warning systems have serious limitations. First, they're not equally distributed around the world's oceans. Second, the time between detection and impact can be incredibly short, especially for local tsunamis. Investigation reveals troubling gaps in global coverage. While the Pacific Ocean is well monitored, other regions lag behind. And even in well-monitored areas, maintenance issues plague the system. In 2011, just before the devastating Tohoku tsunami in Japan, nearly half of the deep ocean tsunami detection buoys deployed by the United States were inoperable due to maintenance issues or budget constraints. But perhaps the most controversial aspect is the human element of the warning chain. The technical aspects of detection are only half the battle. The real challenge is disseminating warnings to vulnerable populations in time and ensuring they know how to respond appropriately. Many coastal communities have never participated in tsunami evacuation drills. Despite the known risks, coastal development continues to boom in many tsunami-prone regions, placing more lives and property at risk than ever before. There's an inherent tension between economic development and disaster risk reduction. Waterfront property is valuable, tourism is lucrative, and ports are essential for trade. But these economic incentives often override safety concerns. One of the most intriguing aspects of tsunami history is the Portuguese connection. Not only was Portugal itself devastated by one of history's deadliest tsunamis in 1755, but evidence suggests that tsunami's impacts reached as far as Brazil, then a Portuguese colony. The 1755 Lisbon tsunami fundamentally altered Portugal's trajectory as a colonial power. Before the disaster, Portugal was one of Europe's wealthiest nations. Afterward, it struggled economically and politically, which had ripple effects throughout its colonial empire. Portuguese historical records provide some of our most detailed accounts of historical tsunamis, offering valuable insights for modern tsunami research. A remarkable aspect of the Lisbon tsunami is how it potentially created the first well-documented transoceanic tsunami impact. The fact that waves generated off Portugal could affect coastlines in Brazil demonstrates the truly global nature of these disasters. While the threat of tsunamis cannot be eliminated, proper preparation can dramatically reduce casualties. Japan's comprehensive approach to tsunami preparedness offers valuable lessons. Japan has invested heavily in both physical infrastructure, like tsunami walls and evacuation buildings, and social infrastructure, like education and regular drills. But perhaps most importantly, tsunami awareness is embedded in the culture. Children learn about tsunamis from an early age. This cultural awareness stands in stark contrast to many other tsunami-prone regions, where education efforts remain minimal. The simple phrase, "Tsunami tendenko," which essentially means "save yourself first" during a tsunami, has saved countless lives in Japan. It's a cultural understanding that when you feel an earthquake near the coast, you immediately head to higher ground without waiting for official warnings or even family members. Experts emphasize that knowing tsunami warning signs and evacuation routes is essential for anyone living in or visiting coastal areas. Natural warning signs include strong ground shaking, unusual and rapid sea level changes, roaring sounds coming from the ocean. The single most important action you can take is to move to higher ground immediately if you notice any of these warning signs. Don't wait for official warnings. Don't stop to collect possessions. Don't try to drive. Just run to higher ground or inland as quickly as possible. While we've examined history's deadliest tsunamis, scientists warn that future events could be even more catastrophic due to increased coastal population density and climate change impacts. Sea level rise amplifies tsunami risks in two critical ways. First, It allows tsunami waves to penetrate further inland. Second, it reduces the effectiveness of existing protective infrastructure that was designed for lower sea levels. Of particular concern is the Cascadia subduction zone off the Pacific Northwest of the United States and Canada. Geological evidence suggests it produces magnitude 9, 0+ earthquakes and massive tsunamis approximately every 300–500 years. The last major event occurred in January 1700, meaning we're statistically overdue. A full margin rupture of the Cascadia subduction zone could generate tsunamis comparable to the 2004 Indian Ocean disaster. The difference is that warning times would be much shorter, as little as 15–25 minutes for nearby coastal communities. Other high-risk regions include the Mediterranean Sea, where submarine landslides could trigger tsunamis with minimal warning, and the Caribbean, where both earthquakes and volcanic activity pose tsunami threats. Throughout human history, tsunamis have demonstrated nature's awesome and terrifying power. From the 227,899 lives lost in the 2004 Indian Ocean disaster to the estimated 50,000 deaths in the 1755 Lisbon catastrophe, these events have shaped civilizations and altered the course of history. Yet, despite their destructive potential, tsunamis have also revealed humanity's remarkable resilience. Communities rebuild, warning systems improve, knowledge expands. What we've learned from studying historical tsunamis is invaluable for protecting future generations. Each disaster, tragic as it is, provides data that helps us better understand these phenomena and prepare for what's coming. The most important lesson is clear. Preparedness saves lives. Whether you live in a well-known tsunami zone like Japan or Indonesia, or in regions with lower but still present risk like Brazil or the Mediterranean, knowing the warning signs and evacuation routes could make the difference between life and death. Many survivors of the 2004 tsunami lived because they recognized the warning signs, the sea retreating unnaturally, exposing the ocean floor. This knowledge led them to run for higher ground, warning as many people as they could along the way. As our planet's climate continues to change and coastal populations grow, understanding tsunami risks becomes increasingly vital. By learning from the past, we can better prepare for an uncertain future. Remember, knowledge is preparation, and preparation is survival.